Mitä?
Kysy ihan mitä vaan.
Kun mä haluan kakkapökäleet. Ai mitä? Kun mä haluan kakkapökäleet. Nyt mä haluan kakkapökäleet.
Meikäläisen rampin takapihalle rakensi Reili Seppo ja R. Sparks. Jos emme olisi rakentaneet Miniä, niin luultavasti Suomen skeittibetoni olisi tehnyt sinne puulin. Skedekamoja on haettu Ponkisista jo 3 vuosikymmenen verran. Tsekatkaa uusittu Kampin luksusmyymälä. Kledjut on hoidettu makialta ja nehän ovat aina ihan tip-top. Olarin Panimon bisset maistuvat edelleenkin ja Dönerharjun skärdät ovat ihan ykösiä. Välipalat syödään tunnetusti Hietsun kauppahallin Fat Ramenissa ja jotta saisi lounastaa rauhassa, niin päässä on yleensä valkon vastamelukuulokkeet. Yhteistyössä mukana tervehdys rakkaat ystävät ja tervetuloa Edun Minille. Ja 5 ensimmäistä jaksoa olemme seuranneet suomalaista skeittikulttuuria ja nyt kun mollikka paistaa taivaan täydeltä, niin olemme viimeinkin päässeet tänne Minille. Pari viikkoa sitten näitte, kun kyselyitä oli paljon tullut, että minkä takia skeittausta Edun Minillä ei ole aloitettu. Mutta me keski-ikäiset, me emme ole niin hätähousuja, me odotamme, että Suomen pitkä talvi ja vielä pitempi kevät tulevat niin sanotusti loppua kohdi, eli päästään kesän kynnykselle ja sitten kun takapihalla on se yli 20 astetta, niin sitten voidaan tulla tänne shreddaamaan. Ja oikeastaan hyvien ystävieni kautta sain tämän vieressä olevan miehen käsini, joka nimi on Javier Webster. Hän on suomalaistunut kaveri, 3 lapsen isä, puoliksi espanjalainen, puoliksi britti, ja hän omistaa erittäin ison rullalauta-kokoelman. Ja yritin Javia saada ennen haastattelua, että jos oltaisiin bamlattu suomeksi koko tämä haastattelu, varmasti olisi siihen pystyttykin, mutta kun mies on nyt äidinkieleltään, niin englanninkielinen ja minäkin puhun vähän Lontoota, niin ehkä me hoidamme tämän 20-minuuttisen englanninkielellä. Javier, welcome to my mini ramp and welcome to my show.
Well, thank you first for the invitation. This is an amazing place and you're very lucky to have this.
Yeah, people have been saying that it's a great honor to get an invitation to Edun Mini, but that's bullshit. But the fact is that only good guys can come here.
Well, if they're offering beers and hot dogs, of course, and a mini ramp, I'm going to be the first one to be here.
Yeah.
So, thanks for that.
Yeah, this year. How did you like the Dönerharju dogs and the famous Olari Panimo beers?
I'm pretty full, man. I mean, I'm like really, really full and super tasty and good beers. Good times.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Our first question is always to ask the guests how, where and when did they start skateboarding, and question B is always like, and who were with you when you started?
Well, basically, I can say that I started skating in around 1988. That was the first time I started skateboarding, and I remember growing up in the streets in my hometown in Fuengirola, Spain. Back then, it was a big hype. Everybody was skateboarding. I mean, you name it. We would just go to people's houses and watch old school skateboarders from the late 80s. And it was such a hype that, we would go to friends' house, watch thrashing, for example, and just go straight outside skating. And that was the thing to do back then. Everybody loved it, and it was the new thing to do, basically. I have very good memories of growing up, just watching videos, skating, going with my friends. I was spending hours and hours outside trying to learn basic tricks like ollies, kick flips, and how to put your foot position, and just basic stuff. Back then was a huge thing. If somebody could like ollie like half a meter, that guy was the most famous person in the whole city. So yeah, basic. There was different times.
So pretty same thing in Fuengirola than here in Olari.
Yeah, well, I couldn't say about Olari. I don't know about the skate scene in Olari, but I can tell you in Spain it was really, really big, really big.
Yeah.
And we had skate shops around. I mean, in my hometown, even though it's a small town, we had at least 3 skate shops. So we had options. We had material, we had boards, we had trucks, we had wheels, we had the surfing also culture and skateboarding culture. So that obviously brought lots of people interested in the sport.
Back in the days, like let's say like 88 when you started, there were like, let's say, maybe 10 big brands, and few brands were bigger than the others, like Paul Peralta, Santa Cruz, Vision, and then there were like smaller ones like Sims, Smith Stick,
Vision.
Dogtown. I mean, like Vision was pretty big, but they came down late 80s. But which company was your favorite back then?
Okay, back then, the only things I remember and recall hearing all the time was Santa Cruz and Powell Peralta. Those 2 brands, I mean, everybody talked about them. And obviously the graphics were super captivating too, because even though they were so different, but they was so kind of original in a way. And for me, Powell Peralta and Santa Cruz probably are the bigger brands. But I remember going to the skate shop and I went for Vision board, and even Vision was really big, but they were also focusing on trends of their time, clothing. They were very good for that and very good in marketing. But Vision, I chose Vision for my first board, but basically those were the big brands. Power Peralta, Santa Cruz, Vision, and then Golden Smith and Sims and these other ones.
So your first board was Vision board.
Vision board, Mark Gator.
Okay, Mark Gator Rogovsky. So the guy who actually kind of lost his skills when street skating was pushing, overtaking the ramp skating, and then
Turn into a different direction. Yeah, exactly.
And then he killed his girlfriend, buried her to desert, and got 25 to life.
Yeah, that was. I remember back then because I was like 8 or 9 years old. I didn't really know about the history of Gator, but I heard that when I bought the board, the kids were telling me, "Oh, Gator, he's in prison or something," and I didn't get it, to be honest, because I was super stoked to have my first skateboard, proper board, and I just wanted to skateboard, and people were saying, "Oh, Gator," and he's in prison. I was like, "Okay, well, I don't really care. I just want to skate." So that was the first thing for me. But I was 8 years old. I didn't know this and I didn't know about this.
But, you couldn't read that shit in the newspapers.
Exactly. Yeah, that was. Only this in the skate community, it was a big thing, obviously, and super, of course, a tragedy. Absolutely. Yeah. But it was that he killed basically the friend of the girlfriend, basically, and he went mad. Skateboarding was changing back then. Big 80s vert skater, super famous, and then skateboarding turned into street style or street skating, and then he couldn't put up to that level. So plus obviously some issues he had, and it was too much for him. And
there's a document about it, so go and check that out. I actually saw the guy once here in Finland, actually skating the ramp with Ken Park. The year was 88 or 89, and back then we didn't have like full ramps, so they were skating Vepe ramp, which is lousier one. But hey, let's talk about your skateboard collection. How, when, and where you decided that I'm gonna start collecting old skateboards. Very hard to find.
Yeah, those are very hard to find, and they're super rare also. Now it's turned into like a kind of like a thing to do and to collect, especially people above, let's say 35. They're collecting those for the nostalgia of the whole thing and the skateboarding art that represents. And but I started a bit later. I wasn't that early in the collecting world. I started in around 2013, late. Okay. I started first with a Caballero board, Steve Caballero, Power Peralta reissue board. That was the first one, reissue from 2010. And because back then, in 2010, 10 years ago, they started to reissue the old school boards. So it got into my radar that, oh my god, these are the ones I used to skate when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it brought so many memories. And I started to buy from that one. Then I bought another one, reissue, Danny Way, blind. And then that got me into the collecting world of the old school vintage boards. Basically, that was the start. After that, I realized that there was a whole world of collecting, and I started to get my first original board after that, just a few months into that.
I've probably never seen the Danny Way's blind board live, because he went to the blind team and he left almost as quickly he got there.
Yeah, that's the Blade Runner board. That's I think it's the only blind board he had, and yeah, like you say, it was very short time in blind, and it was a nice board, nice graphics. I had a reissue, but then I sold it away. I focused more into original boards. Basically, I sold my reissue and I started only originals. So from there, I just only wanted the original stuff. They had kind of more value to those, and it was more the real thing. The prints, the reissues are good, but the prints are not the same, and the quality is not the same neither. So.
When we talk about vintage stuff, people are always interested about the prices. So can you tell about the boards you're having and the conditions and the prices a little bit, so that we can get like some kind of a hint, like what price to ask and what price to buy if we find, for example, like a mint complete?
Yeah, the prices vary basically from brand to brand. You can find, of course, if those boards are in very mint condition, they can cost thousands of dollars, basically, and it's a huge market for people who are collecting. Yeah. Other ones, if they're used and the graphics not good and they're worn, they're gripped, they're used, of course the value, it's much more lower, but still those can cost even 150 euros up minimum. So it goes up from there, basically. That could be maybe the base price, I guess, if you want to buy old school, or you want to start collecting old school skateboard collection. 150, 200 euros up.
Just the board or the complete?
Only the board, of course, only the board. You can find them complete, obviously, from people who are skating old school and they used to have the boards and have them in their garage and don't know what to do with them. You can be lucky and get them from a cheaper price, but those are high valuable and people are looking for those all the time. So.
But to be honest, like I go lots of flea markets. I've been going lots of flea markets in States, especially. Okay. And to be honest, I never see like any old boards there. Like never. I mean, like fucking never. So how do you find your stuff?
I think I've been super lucky, and that's one of the things that keep me going on the skate collecting, because I remember the first board. Was from Tori Pistafi. And there was a Lance Mountain Future Primitive, yellow color, and that was the first one that I saw like online in Finland. That was the first original board that I got in the collecting world. And after that, I kind of bumped into people who like had a skate shop, and back in the 80s in Finland, but many boards didn't sell, so they kept them in like in a varasto, like in the warehouse. Yeah. And that was one story that I got, like that was like 11 boards that I got at the same time, and they were basically Power Peralta boards, Tommy Guerrero, Tony Hawk, you name it, all those original Power Peralta great skaters from the 80s in Power Peralta. 11 boards in the same time for a cheap price. I got them because the guy just basically want to get rid of those, and I was just in the right time, right place to get those boards, and that was the first kind of like big lottery winning, I guess, in the skate collection. I remember that he just had them in his warehouse, and he didn't know what to do with them. Luckily, they were in good conditions too, so there were, obviously some had some cracks, but that's part of the deal. With the boards original from 88, 89, you can't expect to get them in so good conditions, even though most of them were in good conditions. After that, I bumped into another dude who was a skate collector, and then he decided, because of his studies, to sell his collection. So I bought from that dude probably around 10 boards at least.
What was the price?
It depends for each board. Yeah.
What was the total price?
Total price was quite much. I mean, if you think about thousands of euros, I would say. I can't remember now how much I paid, but it was a lot of money. But I bought in that time from that dude. I did buy like one at a time.
Yeah.
From the other guy who I've got the Power Operator 11 boards, I just had to get a loan, and I
That's
just
pretty heavy shit.
yeah, that's not the thing you should do. I don't recommend it. So please don't do that. But it was the beginning, and I had to have those boards, and yeah, I just did that.
Usually at that point, people are going to a friend of them and taking lots of weed for sale and try to get money on that way. But that's another story. But how many boards you got? How many old completes you got? You got pretty many sets of wheels too.
Oh yeah, I got it's difficult to keep the number, to be honest.
You got around how many boards you got?
I don't know, maybe 50 or something.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I got boxes full of wheels, old school wheels, and another box full of trucks, old school trucks.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's this banana Chiquita boxes.
Yeah.
So those are full, and yeah, I got lots of work. Basically, it keeps me going and doing stuff and making completes and this and that.
Yeah.
Which is fun too, to change the boards, trucks, and just have them take photos, put them up to Instagram and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm a vinyl collector, so I understand this totally. What is your, like, from all the companies like ever exist in this world, what is your favorite company?
Favorite company from the old school boards, from the old school skateboarding. That's a tricky question, but I think I'm gonna go with Santa Cruz and Vision. I think they were for me the most closer to who I was like growing up as a skateboarder.
Yeah.
I think that was the closest, and Power Operator was good too, of course. They know how to make the videos on marketing and all this, but Vision and Power Operator, I would say they were the favorites back in the day.
My favorites were definitely Powell Peralta and World Industries, because I got my first box Valley from the guy called Joni Kukkohovi, who got that from Valley. So it was 89 Christmas time. I got it for 250 marks back then. Back in the days, the boards cost like 450 marks, so that was like a half of the price. But for the board like that, used by Mike Vallely, it was like pretty big thing, and that was pretty much like the starting time of the box models.
Wow, sounds amazing.
Too bad I don't have it anymore.
Oh, that's really bad. Otherwise,
Is there any marketplace for used skateboards? Like, I mean, like a big board where you can meet the other collectors which are selling all the time for the right prices.
yeah, obviously this collecting world has grown a lot, and nowadays there's many places to go and look for boards, buy boards, trade boards, and one of those obviously is Facebook, and Facebook groups. There's lots of collecting groups. You just need to write Santa Cruz collectors or old school collectors, 80s collectors, and then you're going to find the groups.
Yeah.
Instagram is a big thing too, because they have lots of collecting people who are collecting. Instagram is a good platform for that.
Yeah.
And then other places, obviously, when you go to the flea markets, you need to be a bit lucky because you don't find those anymore so easily. It's past 30, 40 years since that, so it's very difficult to find. Or just people who used to skate before and had them back in their house or something, or in the garage. But mainly the groups are the best places to find most of the boards. Yeah.
Are you messing around with eBay?
No. To be honest, I bought once only from eBay, and it hasn't been really the platform for me to buy boards, even though it's a good place. But then you are basically it's a hoarder. It's what is it? Place where you're bidding.
Yeah.
So those prices go high, and there's lots of people trying to get the boards. So you need much luck there, and you need to be ready to pay the big amount of money.
Yeah.
I don't like eBay, to be honest. There's lots of stuff. Yeah, it's a good place, but I wouldn't recommend it to start if you are at least starting in the world of collecting.
Hey, thanks for a visit. It was,
Wow.
how do you say, like mind-opening. And we didn't get that many of your boards to my backyard because you got like something to do with your pipelines in your apartment or what?
Yeah, I got this.
Putkiremontti.
Yeah, exactly. I got that going on. So I got basically the boards and the boxes now. But I got this one I brought today. It's a Steve Caballero Polo Pilato. It's a reissue. It's the one that I was skating with, doing old school tricks, and it's a fun board. It's got big wheels, very soft wheels, and it's amazing cruiser and old school board. So it's fun to do stuff with this board.
And people don't know the fact that Batman actually sued Steve Caballero because of using that bat logo there. But it's a nice board, classic one.
Absolutely.
And think about Steve Caballero, one of the biggest names in skateboarding history.
Absolutely.
But hey, thanks Javi.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Meikäläisen rampin takapihalle rakensi Reili Seppo ja R. Sparks. Jos emme olisi rakentaneet Miniä, niin luultavasti Suomen skeittibetoni olisi tehnyt sinne puulin. Skedekamoja on haettu Ponkesista jo 3 vuosikymmenen verran. Tsekatkaa uusittu Kampin luksusmyymälä. Gledjut on hoidettu makialta ja nehän ovat aina ihan tip-top. Olarin Panimon bisset maistuvat edelleenkin ja Dönerharjun skärdät ovat ihan ygösiä. Välipalat syödään tunnetusti Hietsun kauppahallin Fat Ramenissa ja jotta saisi lounastaa rauhassa, niin päässä on yleensä valkon vastamelukuulokkeet. Yhteistyössä mukana